It's time for the Double Stop with Brian Sword.
Okay, we're rolling.
Welcome to the Double Stop. I'm Brian Sword, back after another little break. But I got some new episodes, I got some more in the can, got some more being booked, so hopefully moving forward, it'll be a bit more regular. The simple fact is that my life right now is completely different than it was when I started the show, so things have changed, and I'm trying to kind of get everything lined up properly that I could fully commit to, returning this to a weekly show, but I'm not really ready to do that yet, but I am ready to say that these long breaks should be over. Okay, on this week's show, I have a return guest. I have Eric Martin from Mr. Big. I've had him on in the past. He gave a fantastic two-part interview before where we went through his entire career. This week, he's talking to us about the new Mr. Big record, Defying Gravity. We also touch upon a few little things that I missed the first time around, some of the solo records after Mr. Big broke up, and a little bit of some of the earlier stuff as well. But the bulk of this is Defying Gravity, and we actually went in a slightly unexpected route and talked a little bit about the online trolling community. So that's a pretty interesting side of the conversation as well. So let's jump right into it. Here is return guest, Mr. Eric Martin. Let's just start with the new Mr. Big record. It's really interesting because it seemed like everybody's doing their own thing, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's a new Mr. Big record's going to happen. It seemed to come out of nowhere. How did it happen?
It did come out of nowhere. We were talking about it. It wasn't discussed. I mean, there was like a couple years that went by. I would reach out to management and go, what's going on? Are we doing this record? And they'd always say, well, Paul Gilbert's got something going on, and Billy's working with the Winery Dogs. And I'm like, okay, well, I need to work. So I kind of spent the last 2.5 years on the road playing acoustic and doing pickup bands like I do. I got like a little pickup band in Italy, and we tour all over Europe. And then same thing I did it in Australia and South America, and go to, I've been to India like 5 times, but, and I just, I kind of stayed busy and wrote a little bit minimal, mainly just playing my hits on the road, what I think is my hits. And then, around Christmas time, our management, Tim, called up and said, hey, you guys, we're thinking about doing a record next year, 2017. But, we don't have a set date yet. And we also all talked about on a conference call that we wanted to work with Kevin Elson. He was a guy that defined our sound back in the day, and I've been chasing after Kevin Elson for years. I don't know why we decided to work with other people, which, no offense to them, and guys like Richie Zito and Kevin Shirley and Pat Regan, who produced our Stories We Could Tell album, the one prior to this one. Great producers. But Kevin was, I said it before, but he was kind of like our fifth Beatle. And to work with him again was going to be, godsend for us. But he had his own schedule as well. He had like all kinds of little irons in the fire. So we only had a window of 6 days, about a week, to work with him, and it wasn't going to be until like 6 months, or no, not 6, January, February, March, April, 3 months. But we were just on the talking stage. I had no material. I had a couple songs that I'd written that were possibly Mr. Big songs. You never know, because usually it's like it's got to be heavy hard rock, or it's got to be something quirky, like Green to the 60s Mind or something, And I had a song called She's All Coming Back to Me Now, which I had written with my partner Andre Pessis and this other friend of ours, Monroe Grisman. His father's David Grisman, the mandolin player, but we came up with this kind of Beatle rock kind of song, and we had that. So that was like the one song I had, and so Billy and Pat and Paul got in a room and hammered out riff after riff. I mean, they gave me a couple CDs, just like they always do, of like unfinished riff, tons of riffs that they just jam on forever. And some close to finished ideas, but majority of it was, just, we call them sniglets. I don't know if we talked about this before, Brian,
Yeah.
but they're kind of like Martian dog biscuits, sniglets. And they're like little tidbits of information that come to me, and then I'll slice and dice and cut and paste and try to make sense out of it. And then I'll do my thing to it, and then I'll send it back until we get a good song. And they sent it to me, and then so they went on the road. The thing got kind of pushed back a little bit. It wasn't 3 months. I don't know how it worked out, but like I got caught with my pants down. It was like 2 weeks before the metaphorically. Okay, kids, don't even. We're not trying to get creepy here, but a week and a half, 2 weeks before. Okay, Kevin's available now, and he's only available for 6 days. That's what happened. I'm like, what? I'm not ready. I don't have my shit together. I don't have my stuff together at all. And I was thinking that nobody else did either, because I kept asking, I go, Paul, do you have any songs, completely finished songs that maybe I can write some lyrics or melodies to, or not completely finished songs, but you know what I mean? Like a lot more together than some of these riff sniglets that I've heard already. And he goes, no, I don't really have anything. I'm in the woodshed. I'm woodshedding now. And so when I came to the studio, we're all looking at each other, and I said, okay, man, guys, I'm so sorry, but I only have 3 songs. 3 songs, and maybe like I'm working on something, but we don't have any time. God, I was like really bummed. And also I didn't get to, I don't usually put together a demo, but sometimes I do, if I have the time. So I had to break out the acoustic guitar and show the guys on the spot, okay, here's the song. And they're like, okay, because I see what you're trying to do, Eric, with your 3 chords, And hey, look, I've been doing that for years, and somehow it works, man.
Yeah, right.
So I broke them out, and I said, guys, I'm sorry, man, I only have 3 songs. And Paul's like, hey, that's cool. I'm not trying to do a Paul Gilbert. Hey, okay. He goes, I got 7 tunes. I'm like, what? And Billy goes, yeah, I got 5. I'm like, what? I was loving it big time, because, and I'm not saying that I was shocked, really, because I didn't think anybody stepped up, and they did. They stepped up big time. I was so happy. I mean, like on the album that we did before this one, it was an album called Stories We Could Tell. And that was a really stressed out, difficult record to make, because nobody was around. It was just me, Pat Regan, and Pat Torpy, who right before we started to arrange and write a bunch of songs for that album, he leaned over to me and go, oh yeah, by the way, I think I have Parkinson's, I was like, oh, okay. And I was so bummed for him, and he was super depressed about it. But somehow we worked really hard on making that record, our damn selves. And so I did step up a lot, and I worked really hard on that record. And then so when I came in with 3 measly tunes for Defying Gravity, and those guys going, oh, I got 7. I'm like, dude, I was so happy, But again, if you talk to Billy and Pat and Paul, they thought that this record was like a great challenge, and I mean, they were prepared. I wasn't. You know, I didn't. I was freaked out because I like to have pre-production and I do like to spend some time writing songs. You know, but I found that. I mean, it's purely up to the audience. You tell me if you like this record. To me, I was like, oh man, I hope they dig it. I mean, I wrote a lot of stuff on the spot, and didn't know like Paul Gilbert gave me the song. He goes, I wrote a song about the band and about, you know, our, back in the day To Be With You in those days. And it's called 1992. Here it is. And I'm looking at the lyrics and he plays the demo for all of us in the studio. He's teaching the rhythm section, the stuff. And he goes, yeah, let's do it. Let's cut it. And like within an hour, we cut it and it was done.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember this videographer guy sticking the camera in my face. Nice guy, but he goes, hey, what are the songs about? And I go, brother, I haven't got a clue. You know, I go, I know this song's about us. And that's it. You know, I didn't know. And I was, it's the first single, right?
Yeah.
But, I did, I was able to, so we cut all the basic tracks and did all the overdubs, super improv too. No, Paul didn't spend a lot of time detailing stuff. We didn't beat these songs to death at all. We first impression, that's it, cut it. He blew through like 4 different solos each song. And then we kind of went, okay, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. This will be the one, you know. And so we got it all down. And while Kevin is so I did guide vocals, and we kept some of the guide vocals on the record. But while Kevin is mixing the ones with vocals, the next day. So we did this in Los Angeles, in North Hollywood actually, and the next day I flew back home to the San Francisco Bay Area, and I worked with this guy, Chris Manning, who is the bass player for Jellyfish, and him and I did the rest of the vocals, you know, and while I'm singing the song, and then he goes, okay, well, this is good, let's take a break. I'm writing lyrics for the next one, you know. It was really, it sounds great, you know. Oh, how, you know, the romantic warrior, you know, it sounds, oh dude, it was so difficult. I actually hated it, but I'm, and it, because it took me, I didn't live with the songs, you know, it was like a blind date, you know.
I'm not terribly surprised to hear you say that, because when we talked about What If, you weren't completely sold on this concept of everybody recording live, your first, you know, your first take is it, and you know, and you expressed how that was a challenge, and the next record was much more comfortable for you, working, you know, at a pace. And then when I heard 6 days, I'm like, oh, Eric must have hated that.
You know, dude, I know we've talked before about this kind of thing, and now you just kind of outed me. I know it looks like I'm a complete whiner, huh? Like a major whiner. I really don't like being in the recording studio itself. I love the writing process.
Yeah. But
being in a recording studio doing it, it's difficult. It's, you know, because this is it, man. You're putting it down a tape or Pro Tools or whatever you do, and that's it. It's set in stone, man. You can't go back, especially with us, because you know, go, no, Eric, man, don't touch. You know, like when I did that What If album, and Kevin Shirley goes, because I think we were talking about this, you know, you go, yeah, we want to do a live album, and then I'm like, can I fix some of this stuff because I don't like it? And he goes, nope, you can't. We're going to stay true to what you said in the first place. And I'm like, I was really pissed off.
Yeah,
I was pissed at myself. Yeah, I go, no one's going to know. And he goes, I'll know. The people will know. Like, and so anyway, it all worked out in the end. I'm that guy in Gulliver's Travels. We're doomed. We're not going to make it. You know, I'm like Bill Paxton in Alien. You know, like, let her do it, man. I'm not going out there, you know. So.
But in general, when you're in the recording studio making an album, that is the time to be a perfectionist, generally.
Yeah.
You know?
But, everybody else is just so calm and collected, you know. Me, I worry too much, you know. But, it took me a while to process this record, too, because I didn't get it. I didn't get it. I was listening to all the sounds and everything, but Kevin Elson definitely made this record sound like us again. You know, it was just like a bunch of pieces of stuff. And granted, listening to it for the first time and not having a lot of pre-production on it, it was kind of crazy. But when I did this U.S. tour. Just recently, it was over. God, it was like in a heartbeat, like 15 shows, I think. And we traveled around and doing some of the songs live, 1992, and the other one, Everybody Needs a Little Trouble. It helped me a little bit. Going, oh man, these songs do kick ass. You know, I didn't believe in it in first. You know, I don't want to. Yeah. I'm just trying to be. You know, I'm not trying to put the kibosh on our own record because I actually love it. It's just when I first did it, I was second guessing. I thought, man, I hope this is going to work. I hope people are going to dig it. This is a different format from what we've done before. You know, we've always had that Daddy Brother or the Addicted at Rush, and the next song is kind of a middle of the road country rock kind of song, and the next one is a ballad, and then we go right back into rocking again. You know. Blues rock or something, and this one's different. The opening track definitely is this kind of cool 60s, you know, rock and roll. The whole record to me definitely has this late 60s, 70s sort of film around it. I don't know if you feel the same way as I do, but it has that vibe. But there's also some really unique tunes on it. Like the last song is a song that Paul Gilbert wrote called Be Kind. And that's this really long 7-minute blues jam of a song, but then it has this doo-wop vibe to it. You know, sometimes you gotta work, you know, very James Brownish, or Otis Redding, you know, Mr. Pitiful kind of vibe in the verse. And then the chorus is got like that's life, you know, like that, like swinging, that's life, you know. It's a cool, positive record too. There's like a lot of love song or love kind of vibe and a hope for a better day kind of lyrics that are coming out of Paul Gilbert and Billy Sheehan. Dude, man, Billy brought in two sort of poppy Crosby, Stills, Nash, not one of them Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young kind of song. A song called Damn, I'm in Love Again that he wrote with a brother and sister team from Sweden. He met them somehow on the road, and it was so different. You know, usually Billy's like, you know, I'll be the guy that brings the pop song in, and Billy will be like, it's got to be harder. It's got to have teeth, you know, and he brought that Damn, I'm in Love Again, and then he brought the other one, Forever and Back, which is has this huge, big sort of maybe like Aerosmithian chorus, but verse-wise, it's like crammed with a bunch of words and weird time signature thing, and I can't even explain it. And I've never done a song like that before. But yeah, some really interesting writing on this record, you know. And then I had to, I got, you know, she's all coming back to me now. And then me and Paul and my partner, Andre Passis, we wrote Defying Gravity, which has this sort of Middle Eastern sound to it. But you know, it kicks into high gear with some rock and it's a definitely cool rock and roll song. but I wrote this other one that you have to have my funk song on the record. It was called Nothing at All, kind of a mumbo jumbo politico kind of song. Written about, I don't want to get in trouble with my band because they're pretty political, but yeah, kind of a little government slang, a little bit, little, talking about the man in the big white mansion, a little bit.
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting record for me because I find with bands that I've been listening to for years, and I'm one of those guys that was been listening since the first record. So if I instantly like it, that means that it's too similar to what I heard before, and in a year from now, it won't be one of my favorites. And this is very different than that. You're right. Like you've talked about it. This is not another same old Mr. Big record, which is really interesting because you've gone back to Kevin and then you've pushed forward in a whole other direction, it seems. So, this is a record that I've listened to 10 times, and I'm probably going to need to listen to it another 50 times before I fully have my head wrapped around it, which is really interesting for a band who's on its 10th or 11th record. You know what I mean?
I wanted to make the same record, like the same format that we always do. It's kind of almost like a set list when you see Mr. Big live.
Yeah, and it's been that way since the beginning.
Right, but that's not the way it turned out on this one. It was more, it was just which is a good thing too, Granted, look, I never look at our albums as the last record. You know what I mean? Like people it almost feels like when you talk about a record, you go like, oh, this is it. This is how you're going to sound for the rest of your life, and I think it's a really great rock and roll record, a cool collection of songs, but it doesn't, you're so used to the meat and potatoes that you always get, the same meal that you get from Mr. Big, and this is not the way it is. You've been served it's a different cuisine. It's a little more, it's a little French. I don't know what that means, but yeah, you've been served something a little different.
Yeah, and I think some of the long-term fans will be a little surprised. But I'd be curious to what are they going to say in 6 months after they've had some time to listen to it, because I don't think it's really what people expect. Some stuff is, but you're right. You talk about some of the different aspects of the record, it's different, which is great to me. Doing it in 6 days, going back to Kevin, who you know so well, do you think you could have pulled it off with anybody else who you didn't know so well?
No. No. Some producers would have freaked out.
Yeah.
They would have completely freaked out. Kevin is kind of used to, he's a troubleshooter. He can do it. He's also a musician, and he gets it, and he's an arranger, and he's a live sound guy. He as well as a producer, but he can do it. And he's one of us, and he would look. I don't think any of the other guys could do it. Like I'm sure Kevin Shirley or Pat Regan or Richie Zito, great producer. If they listen to this, if they listen to the crap that's coming out of my mouth right now, they probably go, "Oh, Eric, you have no idea. We can do it," And I'm like, I'm not so sure. I think because Kevin knows us and what we can do. I think he's the guy that could pull the rabbit out of the hat.
Now, one of the members of the team who sadly wasn't there, who I actually did interview, and I think it may have been his last interview, was Tom Size. Yeah, I just wanted to get your memories on working with Tom, who sadly seems like he really should have been part of this album. And he was, I chatted with him for over an hour, and he was a fantastic guy. What are your thoughts on Tom?
He was one of my best friends, and we live near each other. We share the same birthday. Every birthday, on October 10th, we call each other and wish happy, joy. We're super close. I worked with this guy way before Mr. Big. I mean, even like Kevin Elson and Tom Size, they used to do my demos back in the day, you know, and still, and he's been my go-to engineer for everything that I've ever done. I mean, these little projects that I had with Japan, songwriting stuff. He was actually putting together this huge category. Not category, what am I saying? Putting all the music together that I did prior to Eric Martin Band. I had a band called 415, which was the same kind of band, but we had 100 songs or something, and he was putting them all together and mixing them. Anyway, in the beginning, when we were talking about the record, Tom was getting sick. And that was our huge conference call about, you know, God, Tom Size would have loved to have been on this project. I used to talk to his girlfriend, Kelly, about this all the time. She goes, it was just so super sad, you know, because of Tom thing, but I wish that he would have been involved in our record. He was such a great engineer and a really good person to be around. But, and he was our live guy too, which I miss the guy. I miss the guy talking to him every day. But he was also there's a huge hole because every time we did, and we did a lot of them, live records, you know, from the United States or some lots in Japan, he would be in the mobile truck outside of the venue mixing the live record, you know. And dude, I don't know what we're gonna do now without him. He's not, and I know his name gets brought up all the time. You know, what would Tom do? We have no idea. You know?
Yeah, right. He seemed especially proud of his ability to push you in the studio. He actually told me that one of these days, Power Written a Kisser from the first record was told to him by you.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was very proud of that.
Because, yeah, I know. I love it too. We butt heads when we first met each other. Kevin we had like a couple different studios working at the same time. Kevin would be working with Paul doing some solo stuff, and Tom would be working with me on a lead vocal. And he'd go, you can do better than that. Or like, make me believe it. I don't know if you can, you know, and I'd be like, and in my ego used to pop in and going, what are you talking about? I was on fire. That was my best lead vocal ever. And he goes, I've heard better. Come on, you could do better than that. Or just, oh, come on, Martin. What do you need a break now? You need a glass of wine and some cheese or some shit. So, he was really tough. And then, on that first album, I had like this crappy little acoustic guitar, and it was leaning up. It was like this 1970s control room at Fantasy Recording Studios in Berkeley, California, and it had this sort of Dean Martin Gold Diggers. No one's going to understand this, but like this sort of, it kind of looked like a bat cave in the control room. So there's all these sharp rock things on the walls. It's hard to explain it. God, it looked like some, you know, Batman's Batcave or something. But I had an acoustic guitar leaning up against the rocks, and Tom's looking at me going, come on, man, you can do it. It's Addicted at Rush. And I'm all over the place. But the day before we cut it, we were at Thrasher Magazine in San Francisco, and the guy's coming up with like this artwork, like hat and shoes for our logo, and he's got a half pipe skateboard deal, and I'm thinking like, oh yeah, I remember back in the day, I know how to ride a skateboard, you know, at 30 years old, not good, I think maybe I might have been 34 or something like that. I get on the skateboard and it flips up and I break my arm, and so that's the day before. So I'm in pain. I'm singing Addicted at Rush. Tom's giving me crap, going, come on, man, you can do this, you can do this. And then he reaches over and kind of lightly taps my acoustic guitar as it slides against the rocks, scratching the guitar. But no, it was a funky guitar, and it was called an Aspen. I don't even know what if Aspen. Aspen was good for skiing, but not for acoustic guitars. I don't know, but he kind of tips the guitar over there, and he looks at me and he goes, "What do you think of that?" And I go, "One of these days, man, pow, right in the kisser." And then he left it on there. Same thing with, I know it took a long time to get to this story, but I'm trying to paint the picture. Same thing with Kevin Elson. Like in the beginning of "I Dig That Rush," he goes with his Jacksonville, Florida accent. Okay, we're rolling. Which I sort of paid homage to when we did our opening track, "Open Your Eyes," on this record. I took a "Dig That Rush" on my cell phone, and I queued it up to "Okay, We're Rolling." And like right before I sang that song, I put it on the microphone, and I go, "Okay, we're rolling." And Kevin thought that was funny, and he kept it, so.
Yeah, this is showing it full circle, right?
Yeah. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
So, if you'll indulge me, can we go back in time for one question that I didn't ask last time we chatted, and I was pissed off about it? The song "Just One Night," speaking of the whole Canada thing, how did Triumph end up covering that song for Sport of Kings?
Kevin Elson. Kevin Elson.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think Kevin might have. Well, maybe not Kevin Elson. Wait a minute, Kevin Elson. No, he didn't do Sport of Kings album.
No, that was Mike Klink.
Mike Klink. It was through Kevin, because we were maybe at Fantasy, and Kevin Elson might have been there, and Kevin introduced me to Mike, and we hit it off. We became friends, and because I had written that song with Neil Sean, and I did the demo with Kevin Elson. See, it's all ancestral, my man. So that sounds so creepy. It's all so ancestral. So yeah, and this is Mike Klink way before Guns N' Roses, this. So Mike turned it on to the guys, and he goes, "Yeah, they're going to do the song." And I'm thinking it's Rick Emmett, but it was Gil, the drummer, who actually sang it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, great.
And it was a single and a music video and a bit of a hit for them.
Well, I saw the videos. It was the video, wasn't it kind of like psychedelic? I don't remember what it was, but yeah, I heard that it was kind of a little hit for him. I made my $8.50. No, that's me. That's totally cold, because they did an amazing job of it. Really cool song for Triumph, a different kind of song for Triumph.
Yeah, right.
Lay it on the line. Anyway.
Hey, man, they were big up. I don't know about the States, but they were massive up here back in the day.
Oh, dude, I know that. I know that for a fact. I loved Canadian rock and roll back in the day. I mean, like, first of all, Rush, Triumph, even like, I loved, I think we talked about this, Colin James.
You did. Yeah,
dude,
that's right.
I loved Colin James, and God, I mean, there were so many. I mean, like, don't get me started, man. I'll start singing Glass Tiger songs in a minute.
Fantastic.
And Bryan Adams, geez, Bryan Adams,
of course.
The man, the myth, the little legend. No, I'm just kidding. Brilliant music. Oh, come on. What's the other guy? Billy Sheehan used to play with this guy.
Oh, Kim Mitchell. Kim Mitchell.
Yeah, Max Webster.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
now,
when Mr. Big first started, I remember Billy had a song that, I can't remember the name of it, some straight ahead rock and roll song by Kim Mitchell, and we were considering doing it on our first album.
Yeah, right. I remember reading that.
And something that, like, the kids Kids in Action, or I can't remember the name, what it was, but really cool song.
I think it was a Max Webster tune.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite possibly, mate.
Yeah. Anyway, as we finish up, I just want to quickly touch upon, in the early 2000s, you had, a couple solo albums. Kind of, I guess that would be right after Mr. Big broke up, I'm Going Sane, and Destroy All Monsters. Can you tell me a little bit about that era for you? Because you did a couple albums kind of right in a row, and then it seems like you haven't done, like you've done Mr. Vocalist and other things, but you haven't done a traditional Eric Martin solo record in a while. So can you tell me about that era, and will we hear a solo record from you at any time in the near future?
I think I might even mention to you that I was threatening to make a solo album for years. Still threatening. Never had time. And after I had children in 2004, and
yeah, that'll change things.
And dude, they zapped the creativity right at me. Those little rugrats. Anyway, Look, that was my big thing, to be successful in the music business and to have children. Oh, and a wife. Yeah, cool. I forgot that. I don't know what comes first, but still, I've had a couple of those. Bada bing, bada boom. Anyway, and I raised the kids for a bunch of years, and I didn't. Those were good times. There was that record. Go Insane. I mean, that was one of those things where I had to do the solo album because of Mr. Big had broke up, and was kind of like, man, I got to do something. I got to get back on the horse, I remember even going. I think I might even showed the band a couple of those songs before on the Go Insane record. I believe the song My Disease, which is the first one I was trying to get the band to play. This is kind of heavy. It's kind of a heavy rock. But, it didn't work out. I mean, I'm glad we didn't do that. It was me trying to be a Foo Fighter,
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some good stuff on it, but granted, I produced it myself, so it sounds like ass, and it really does. I mean, I thought it was cool, but it was really... there wasn't a lot of crunch to it. I was trying to get the crunch. Even if you play like a multitude of guitars, it's still not going to be like the crunch. You got to have a good producer, an engineer. I should have had Tom Size do it. I don't know why I didn't, but yeah, those were okay times, struggling times, completely starting over times. I did a lot of touring, but like really tiny little clubs, and I was trying to reinvent myself, and people were going, why? What, dude, you're a rock singer. You're a melodic rock singer. Be that guy. And I'm like, well, the band broke up. I don't know what to do. Well, carry the torch. You jag off, Go Insane, and the other one was
Destroy All Monsters.
Destroy All Monsters. Yeah, again, me trying to be a punk pop writer, and I do write that stuff, and I like that kind of stuff. But my favorite solo album that I did wasn't heavy at all. It was more of an acoustic sounding record. It's called Somewhere in the Middle. Great lyrics, great music, super different. I keep saying super. I don't know why. When you go to Europe a lot, that's their vernacular. Super is a big thing nowadays. I've got to be hip with the kids. Oh my God, I'm such a fool. All right, so, but Somewhere in the Middle was my favorite solo album. It's very Americana, earthy, Tom Petty-esque kind of record, and I'd like to see. Actually, I wanted to do an album like that again, but then, man, I've been inspired I've been working with this rock opera for the last 3 or 4 years called Avantasia. In Europe, this guy, Tobias Sammet, total power. This was his concept. it was like this power metal band, and he had 7 different singers from around the world. Michael Kiske from Halloween, a great singer, Ronnie Atkins from a band called Pretty Maids. Really cool. You'd love it if you like melodic rock and stuff. But Bob Catley from Magnum. These are all European melodic metal people, singers. And Jeff Tate, Queensryche's on some of the stuff and actually touring with them at the moment. And I was so inspired by this Avantasia. You got to check it out. It's kind of symphonic, melodic power metal. And I sing on one of the albums. It's a ballad. It's called the album's called Mystery of Time, and I'm singing one of the songs on it. And I'm playing with them in Germany next month at Wacken, which is like 90,000 dudes, 90,000 people.
Yeah.
90,000 dudes with black shirts. Maybe like, hey, look, I'm not trying to get in trouble with votes for women, but like, yeah, a lot of dudes in the audience. And I was inspired by this band, and I'd like to do a kind of a heavier rock record. Still keep my rhythm and bluesy, soulful thing happening, but I'd like to do a heavier rock record. I never have,
Mm-hmm. You had mentioned last time we chatted, and that you and Warren DeMartini were talking about possibly doing something, and I guess that never happened, especially with Rat kind of sorting out the crazy that was Rat for a while there.
Yeah.
How close did that come to happening?
I was still, we had conversations on the phone, and we talked face to face 2 or 3 times, and I don't know, it didn't come together. It was mainly about just writing, like just trying to come up with some songs, and we didn't, I don't know, but just scheduling just didn't work out. Too bad, too. I don't like talking about something. Like, I felt that it was something was going to happen. That's why I even talked about it. When you talk about, you go, yeah, we're going to do this, and then never happens. It's always kind of like, what a letdown. And I did feel a little, it was a letdown, because I wanted to work with the guy, and I thought we'd make a good team, and everybody said so, but it just didn't work out. Who knows? Hey, man, there's been a few of those. Me and Steve Luca, they were going to do an album together, and then, then Toto came back,
Yeah, right. Okay,
so
back to Mr. Big.
I feel like I'm bumming out the conversation. Mr. Big is back.
Yeah. Well, okay. So the last time we chatted, you expressed regret that you didn't tour more for the last record. You were a little frustrated by the fact that it was a small tour, and really seemed to do well for Pat to be touring. It seemed to help him.
Yeah.
What are the plans for this record? Are you going to tour this one a lot?
I keep pushing them constantly. Yeah, we're going to South America, and ironically, Jeff Tate is opening to us.
Oh, cool.
And then we're going to Asia. So August is going to be South America. September is going to be Japan and Southeast Asia. Korea, and hopefully Indonesia and stuff like that. But and then October to November is Europe, and we're going out with it's going to be a 3-band package. It's Mr. Big, an Irish rock and roll band called The Answer that I think they got like more than 6 albums out or something. But
okay.
They're called The Answer, and then Faster Pussycat actually is opening.
Oh, really?
And you know what? Yeah, dude, I was a naysayer. I was like, what? Faster Pussycat. But I met the guitar player, this guy, I think his name is Ace Von Johnson or something like that. And then the drummer, we hung out after, like, when we did this Defying Gravity video in LA, and I went to a bar in called Saint Regis, or I don't remember what it was, but I went to the bar in Hollywood, and one of those guys owned it, and we hung out, and man, the nicest guys in the world, and really cool, and kind of like way more black eyeliner than I would actually think of wearing, and they're black hair, black fingernails, so gothed out. I don't know Tammy Downs at all. He always had this kind of Walking Dead kind of look, but huge. They had a huge following, and especially in Europe. So that's what we're going to do, brother.
I saw them on the Monsters of Rock cruise the year that you were on doing your acoustic, and they went over like gangbusters. And I didn't know what to expect either, because their image was definitely different from what it was in the 80s. But
totally,
people ate it up.
LA Guns as well. I didn't know anything about LA Guns. I met Tracy a few times in South America. I know this is a different LA Guns, but LA Guns, Faster Pussycat, some of these bands I was like, oh, I don't want to know that. That's not, I don't care for that. And I was like, oh man, really cool stuff. Great stuff. And, so God, I don't know what it's going to be like for me after the end of the European tour. If we actually go to Canada and you see me and I'm wearing like an overabundance of eyeliner and black.
That would be amazing.
I like black clothes too. Black clothes that kind of cut your beer gut out a little bit. That's what they say. It doesn't really work.
Just keep the scarf and the scarf.
Oh, the scarf! I get so much shit for the scarf. I like the scarf, and I like a red scarf. It's like yeah. I get so much crap for that, man. There's this guy. I don't even know why I'm even saying this. I shouldn't even bring it up because I know, but people can make their own judgments. But I went on YouTube and I checked out the Defying Gravity video. It's like, oh, okay, not bad. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh shit, way too much makeup. Eric, you look like a silent movie star. And I look down, where they have the people write in about it.
Oh, don't read the comments.
Oh, dude.
You never read the comments.
I know.
You don't do that.
Listen, this one guy, Joe somebody, the guy is so cruel and cretin. He's like, and he's like, what the hell happened to the lead singer? He looks like he shot Botox in his forehead because his forehead doesn't move and his hair doesn't move. Hey man, overkill on the hairspray and overkill on like the white, Rosemary's Baby, silent movie star makeup, but no Botox. But he kept saying, he said, yeah, this guy looks like a cross between Sandra Bullock and I don't remember. I think he said I look like a middle-aged lesbian.
Oh, you never read the comments. Just
I know,
stop it.
And then he's super cruel on Pat Torpey, saying some bad stuff, and I know after I read it, before I read the Pat Torpey stuff, and when he kind of badmouthed me and said that, like, I was like, I look feminine and I look, just I know it's, people are going to want to read it because I read it and I laughed my ass off. It was funny. Nobody's ever talked to me that way before. They either say I was great at the club last night, or like I saw him last week and he was better. I get that, or like, yeah, this record's okay, or like, oh yeah, this record's great. And even my own friends, I've got friends and I've got some enemies over the years, but I've never had anybody slag me like that. And people are joining in too, like 50, 60 people going, you're right, I never thought about it. He does look like Sandra Bullock and Johnny Resnick had a baby, So, anyway, super cool. But then he started clagging on Pat Torpey, and God, I hope Pat doesn't read that stuff. But yeah, what are you gonna do? I mean, geez, I never got it when I don't know. there are some people that just love talking smack, just to get a
Yeah.
rise. And guess what? He got a rise out of me. He won. I have my fans writing me and saying, "Oh, did you read this? This is so cruel." I'm like, "Yeah, let it go. Don't bring it to my attention anymore." But anyway, I know you're intrigued. You're intrigued. You want to go. You want to go read it. Some of it is just, it's cruel, but some of it's super funny. And if you know me, I'm not that guy. I mean, it was like I don't know if people think I'm a middle-aged lesbian, look like a middle-aged lesbian. I don't care about that. As long as they say, fuck, he's a great singer, and he still looks good for his, he's like, what is he, 85 years old now? And he still looks okay, and whatever, who gives a crap? But, oh my God, that guy tore me a new ass.
It's funny that you mentioned about, making comments about Pat, because the reality is that the goodwill the band has from their fans for the fact that Pat Torpey, and I'm sure that's his decision to still be there, but the goodwill from the fans is unbelievable for the fact that Pat is still there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a spiritual thing too. Yeah, no, we never leave a man behind. We're not doing this without Pat Torpey. And even though he plays one or two songs with us on the drums, he's got a kind of a cocktail kit on the side of Matt, and he plays the rhythm stuff, and he sings, like a bird. And he's got to be there.
Okay, that was Eric Martin from Mr. Big. Hope you enjoyed the conversation. Defying Gravity is out now, and I highly recommend you pick up a copy. To finish up, I'm just going to play a little bit of Just One Night, the Eric Martin version, and then into the Triumph version, so you can check out the differences there. And that does finish us up for this episode. Like I said, I got the next one already in the can, so it shouldn't be too long until you hear me again. I'm Brian Sword. Thanks for listening.
We meet again, both of us by circumstance. Stay with me. We might never get